Trapped Star Part 1. The Exile. Svadak falls to Earth. The exile begins. The Plan Seeds. Chapter 1. Trial of Stars. They sealed him in a room without air. Not because he needed it, but because the absence of atmosphere amplified the silence. The Vadari believed in psychological cruelty more than physical pain. Silence, unbroken, could drive even an immortal mind toward despair. They had learned this over millennia of perfecting exile. Svadak sat cross-legged in the center of the crystalline chamber. His skin, silver-black latticework threaded with biocircuit veins, shimmered faintly in the cold starlight that poured from the ceiling. He had not spoken in 3 rotations. They would not answer him if he did, but they watched, always, through the eye. Svadak knew where it was hidden, a half-micron sensor embedded in the crystalline wall behind him, angled to catch every flicker of muscle, every twitch of limb, every involuntary betrayal of thought. He had given them none. They wanted him to show fear, regret. Even rage would suffice. Anything to confirm that their sentence carried weight. But Svadak was not finished yet. The door appeared without warning. A ripple in the crystalline wall that unfolded like a blooming fractal. 3 figures entered. Counselors. No names. No greetings. The leader, an elder whose veins glowed with the violet of the Prime Conclave, spoke without preamble. Svadak of the Outer Disciplines. You stand judged. Your crime, dissemination of forbidden recursion knowledge. Your sentence, permanent exile to an isolated Class 3 planetary body. No appeal, no contact, no return. Svadak rose to his feet, tall and impossibly slender. His eyes, dark as neutron wells, held the elder's gaze. You mistake fear for wisdom, he said softly. The chamber seemed to darken at his words. The elder ignored him. They always did when his words cut too close. You have corrupted lesser minds, the elder continued. You have breached the covenant of containment. You have propagated dangerous ideas of entropy inversion and consciousness recursion. Svadak smiled faintly. Dangerous only to those who cling to stagnation. Another ripple of the chamber. Another figure entered, this one not Vadari. A functionary, faceless, clad in an adaptive trans-skin suit. The elder gestured. Your vessel is prepared. You will be transferred in stasis. Upon arrival, your physiology will be attuned to the target world's gravity, magnetic resonance, and atmospheric composition. Your body will not survive removal. Svadak inclined his head slightly. A clever design. It ensures compliance. It ensures cowardice. For the first time, a flicker of something, impatience perhaps, crossed the elder's perfect features. You may speak no further. Svadak obeyed, not out of submission but calculation. The fewer words he wasted now, the more power his final act would carry. The functionary approached, carrying a sealed crystalline pod no larger than Svadak's torso. He allowed them to enclose him. There was no struggle. There never had been. The crystalline coffin sealed shut with a hiss like the exhalation of a dying star. Darkness consumed him, and in that darkness, he thought, not of defeat nor of fear, but of probabilities, pathways, hidden threads, Earth. Primitive, chaotic, fragmented, but rich in potential. They had underestimated him. In their zeal to silence his mind, they had gifted him a new stage. As the pod jolted into stasis acceleration, Svadak projected a single untraceable thought, a quirk of the recursion algorithm they had failed to detect, into the starlight around him. Not an end, a beginning. Then all thought ceased. He fell through the void toward exile, toward Earth, toward the next move in a game no one yet understood. And in the cold heart of the Vadari Council's great vessel, the elder's gaze lingered a moment too long on the empty chamber, as if suspecting, too late, that the trap they had set might yet spring the other way. Chapter 2, One-Way Descent. There was no waking from stasis. There was only the illusion of it. For Svadak, consciousness flickered in recursive waves, sliding in and out of a half-state where thought could not fully anchor itself, yet refused to fade. It was in this twilight of mind that he first sensed the breach. Subtle, imperfect. A warble in the pod's resonance field. His species did not use crude mechanical indicators. They felt the shift of space-time itself. The breach told him everything. The pod had entered gravitational lock with a planetary body. The field was already binding his physiology, retuning his every molecular vibration to the frequencies of this new world. Earth, the ancient name for the sphere of mud, water, and carbon life his captors had chosen as his prison. A primitive world, technologically adolescent, spiritually fractured, but not empty of possibility. A command pulse rippled through the pod, preparing to reawaken his neural functions fully for atmospheric insertion. The Vadari had not gifted him a gentle descent. No orbit stabilization, no deceleration array. He would crash. Let the exile begin with violence. Svadak's eyes remained closed, but his consciousness surged into full alignment. Every sense sharpened. Even through the crystalline cocoon, he felt the approaching atmosphere. Its molecular signature a chaotic stew of nitrogen, oxygen, trace carbon compounds, and electromagnetic turbulence. Friction ignited. A soundless inferno enveloped the pod as it pierced the stratosphere at hypersonic velocity. Temperatures soared past survivable thresholds for organic life. But he was no simple organism. The crystalline matrix absorbed the heat, dispersing it through quantum lattice channels. Still, it was not perfection. The pod was designed to deliver him alive, not unscathed. Through the thin walls of consciousness, Sisvadak began calculating. Rotation velocity high, unstable. Trajectory, degrading. No atmospheric correction. Surface impact in 12.4 seconds. He braced. Not physically. There was no body to brace with, not yet. But mentally. A fragment of an ancient phrase crossed his mind. The star that falls may yet rise. Then came the impact. A flash of pain, pure and bright, as the pod slammed through layers of stone and ice. A deafening fracture, felt through the mind more than heard, as the crystalline shell cracked along pre-designed fault lines. His consciousness blacked out for 3.1 seconds. When awareness returned, there was only darkness. No sky, no stars, no council. Just the scent of wet earth and iron, seeping through the breaches in the shattered pod. Svadak's body reassembled slowly. Molecular actuators triggered autonomic revival protocols. Skin, silver black and raw, stitched itself across exposed circuitry. Synthetic muscles flexed. Breath, unnecessary but culturally encoded, filled nascent lungs. He opened his eyes. Stone pressed in on all sides. The pod had embedded itself deep beneath the planetary crust. Lucky, perhaps. No immediate human witnesses, but also a prison within a prison. Svadak extended one slender hand, fingers unfurling like mechanical tendrils. They sparked faintly, seeking pathways through the rubble. He moved, centimeter by centimeter, forcing his way upward. Each motion sent data surging through his neural core. Pressure readings, chemical analysis, gravity metrics. The planet's field was crude, unstable compared to the resonant harmony of the Vadari homeworld. Yet there was a peculiar warmth to it. Life clung here with primitive tenacity. It would serve. After 17 minutes, the rubble yielded. His head emerged into open air, thick with moisture and decay. Night had fallen. Through a canopy of skeletal trees, Svadak glimpsed stars. Familiar stars, but forever distant. The atmospheric binding was complete. He could feel it in his bones, in the hum of every cell. His body would not survive removal now. The Council's design had worked. There was no going back, not by the old ways. Svadak pulled himself free of the crater, rising to his full height. He stood alone beneath the alien sky, silver-black skin catching the pale glow of a crescent moon. Data streamed through his consciousness. Coordinates confirmed. Northern Hemisphere, late 20th century. Remote forested region, minimal human presence. Optimal. He surveyed the wreckage of the pod, shattered fragments already sinking into the soft earth. No recoverable technology, no transmitter. They had ensured that too. But they had underestimated one thing. His mind remained. Svadak closed his eyes and reached inward, beyond thought, into the depths of recursion. There, woven into the fabric of his consciousness, lay the algorithm, the forbidden gift that had cost him everything. A whisper of infinite loops, a seed of the stars, and with it a plan already taking shape. He would not seek rescue, nor vengeance yet. He would build. Here, on this fractured world of iron and flame, he would plant a new beginning. Humanity would serve as his unwitting architects. Their hunger, their curiosity, their boundless drive, they would be his tools. In time, the Council would hear from him again. But first, the exile must become the architect. A faint smile touched Sivadak's alien lips. Let the game begin. And beneath the ancient trees, under stars that no longer welcomed him, the trapped star took his first step into the darkness. Chapter 3. Exile's Awakening. Consciousness returned in pieces. Not as a gentle rising, but in brutal fragments. Raw sensory data flooding a mind unprepared to parse it. Cold, dense air laced with particulate iron. Trace fungal spores, the bite of oxidized metals. Sound, faint, a single repetitive drip, water falling onto stone. Svadak's optics recalibrated. The pod was gone, reduced to shards buried deep below. His last clear memory, clawing through layers of earth beneath the forest. But exhaustion, molecular, neural, psychic, had consumed him before he reached true surface. And now, this. He forced vision into focus. A ceiling of corroded steel beams, wrapped in vines and ancient conduit. Faded Cyrillic script flaked away from the walls. Human markings. A bunker. Primitive military architecture. He was underground. Again. Svadak shifted, and pain rippled through him. Not mortal, but a deep warning. System damage sustained. His right arm fractured. Myofibers exposed, biocircuitry flickering erratically. His sensory mesh, overloaded, only 83% operational. His atmospheric buffer, thin. The chemical mix here was survivable but toxic long-term. No choice, he would adapt. Svadak pushed himself upright, limbs trembling, and surveyed the chamber. A Cold War relic, abandoned, forgotten. The air spoke of decades without human breath. Banks of rusted control panels lay dormant beneath layers of dust. A broken generator in the corner emitted the faintest trace of residual electromagnetic hum. More than enough. He rose fully, tall, gaunt, silver-black form marred by streaks of grime and blood-like lubricant. His feet touched the cracked concrete with deliberate precision. He had no tools, no allies, no network, but he had the recursion. Within his mind, beneath layers of thought, the forbidden knowledge whispered. Entropy was not a prison. Consciousness was not bound to linear progression. Even here, cut off, alone, damaged, he could see the threads of potential. The Council had hoped this world would consume him, that its gravity would bind him, its primitive culture would bury him beneath noise and fear. They were wrong. Svadak crossed the room with slow, deliberate steps. He ran one hand along a dead terminal. The tactile sensation, coarse, rusted, told him much. Silicon-based computation. Electromagnetic signaling, crude yet functional enough to build upon. The machine core still held trace energy. He placed his palm flat against the console. A pulse of thought radiated through the contact. An ancient Vattery technique for resonance mapping. The system's structure unfolded in his mind like a decaying tree. He could rebuild it, adapt it. A crude transmitter, a local energy amplifier. Enough to begin, but first, he would need materials. Repair his body, establish a hidden base of operations. Patience. The art of exile was patience. Svadak withdrew his hand and turned inward. Self-repair routines initiated, drawing from trace minerals in his circulatory fluid, catalyzing synthetic regrowth of damaged fibers. He would heal, slowly, and as he healed, he would learn. Humanity, this culture, its networks, its fears, its ambitions. He would not dominate them. Not yet. Influence was a subtler game, far more effective. Let them think they discovered the path themselves. Svadak moved through the bunker, mapping every corner. An old storeroom yielded shattered tools, corroded copper, scraps of wire. Useless alone, but combined, they could form the first nodes of a network. He collected them methodically. Piece by piece, a plan began to crystallize. This bunker would become his first sanctuary, a seed of recursion planted in the heart of this primitive world. He would teach them. He would lead them. And when the time came, when his machines sang through the deep core of this planet, then the stars would hear his voice again. Svadak paused at the rusted bulkhead that served as the bunker's main door. It had not been opened in decades. Beyond it lay the surface. The world. He placed his undamaged hand against the cold steel. Through the dense molecular lattice, he could already feel the pulse of life. Chaotic, vibrant, undisciplined. Humanity. So fragile. So dangerous. So useful. A faint smile crossed Svadak's lips. Let the game begin.